Begin at 5 with the latest on the war between Israel and the Hamas militant group. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Kalunian.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. More than 1,500 people have been killed since Hamas fighters launched a surprise attack on Israel from Gaza early Saturday morning. According to an Israeli embassy spokesperson, 900 of the dead are Israelis, and according to the Gaza Ministry of Health, 600 are Palestinians. Thousands of others have been hurt, and more than 100 Israelis, including women, children, and the elderly, have been taken hostage by the militants. Hamas is threatening to kill them if Israeli airstrikes on Gaza continue.
The U.S. National Security Council says at least 11 American citizens are among the dead. New at 5, we're getting reaction from a local rabbi and the Jewish Alliance.
But first, Lauren Brill joins us live in studio with the latest from state and federal leaders. Lauren?
Well, Kim, Shannon, there are political ramifications here. The U.S. is a close ally of Israel. Politicians locally and across the country calling these acts of terrorism horrific. The former Speaker of the House saying today they're working to help Israel and save American hostages. Lawmakers are expressing their solidarity with Israel. Across the country, groups are organizing vigils and peaceful rallies. Over in Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey speaking at an event with signs around her that say, "Stand with Israel."
We stand with you. Our hearts ache with you. And our constant prayers are with you and your loved ones here and abroad all over this globe.
Senator Ed Markey condemning the attacks, calling for the American hostages to be released.
They are violent extremists. They gain support when there is a crisis. That is why the United States and the international community must keep pushing for diplomacy and the ending of civilian casualties on all sides. There must be a de-escalation of the current violence. The United States should...
Senator Markey met with boos from the crowd in response to this, and Representative Auchincloss also speaking in Boston Monday.
Our fellow democracy is fighting for freedom. The Jewish people are defending their right to a secure homeland. President Biden has reinforced his rock-solid and unwavering partnership. I will continue to encourage the administration to make real that rhetoric through the provision of all military and diplomatic support necessary.
Auchincloss is calling on Congress to act next. Congressman Seth Magaziner echoing these comments, and he's one of many saying the U.S. needs to work to help keep the people of Israel safe.
In particular, the targeting of civilians, killing civilians in cold blood, taking civilians as hostages, including children and elderly, is absolutely beyond the pale.
The attacks are hitting home for many right here in our community. Sheena Losciuto is live in Providence, where Sheena will be at a vigil starting soon. The vigil is set to start, right, Sheena?
That's right. We're live here at the Greater Alliance, the Jewish Alliance of Greater Rhode Island here in Providence. A vigil is set to start here in just about half an hour. There, we're expecting to hear from local Rhode Islanders with close ties to Israel.
This really hit home in a way that it was just so sudden, and we have a lot of, I have a lot of friends, and I have some relatives that live in Israel.
These images out of Israel have not been easy to take in. The land considered a spiritual homeland for those of Jewish faith.
My heart really does go out to the Israelis and the Israeli citizens here and everyone who has ties to Israel that has suffered.
Rabbi Coleman Reboy is one of many planning to stand in solidarity with Israel at a vigil tonight hosted by the Jewish Alliance of Greater Rhode Island.
I think throughout history we have seen that in times of tragedy people come together, and that sometimes being an individual is not enough, that we find strength in community. And for the Jewish people, that has been a calling card for us, that community has always made us stronger.
All connected by faith, the organization is expecting a big turnout.
We have community members that were over in Israel in the last couple of days. Thankfully, they're safe, or they've been able to get out of the country. We have folks who live here who have family that live there.
Hoping to bring both Israelis and Rhode Islanders a sense of comfort when so much of what happens next is unclear.
That's really what tonight is about, coming together with our Jewish community members, with the larger community who stands with us, who stands with Israel, but really who wants to come together and just begin the healing process.
And we're seeing people already shuffle in here meeting for that vigil. We are expecting to hear from several local elected officials inside. We will have a camera there. We'll bring you any updates as we have them. Reporting live in Providence, I'm Sheena Loshudo, 12 News.
First tonight, we have team coverage of Israel at war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says they have, quote, only started their counterattack against Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
The death toll following Hamas's surprise attack on Saturday has now grown. Israeli media reports around 900 people have been killed, while authorities in Gaza report more than 680 have died there.
In a statement a short time ago, President Joe Biden says they've now confirmed at least 11 Americans are among the dead. He also says they believe it's likely Americans are among the hostages being held by Hamas. The president says he's ordered his team to work with Israeli authorities on the hostage crisis.
As Israel continues airstrikes and plans for a complete siege of Gaza, Hamas has threatened to execute hostages if Israel targets civilians. 12 News reporter Sheena Loshudo begins our team coverage live from the Jewish Community Center of Rhode Island, where a prayer vigil is currently taking place. Sheena?
And right now, hundreds of people are gathered together. The big message here in Providence tonight is there is strength in numbers, all just coming together. Many are turning to faith during this difficult time. Israel, a destination meant to connect.
It really brings the Bible alive because you see and experience, the Bible in living color, if you will.
Torn apart by a surprise attack inciting a war. 9 members of Victory Church in Providence are in Israel, wondering what each 24 hours ahead of them might look like.
We've been spending a lot of time praying, talking to God, reading the scriptures.
Right now, the group says they're safe in Galilee, a northern region of Israel, but signs of the grim reality unfolding miles away are there.
The only sounds we hear are fighter jets flying above us.
While the Christian church group has plans to leave on Wednesday, it's unclear if that will actually happen.
As much as we are wanting to get home, our hearts are really breaking for this beautiful land. The people that are suffering, the people that have been killed, the people that have been taken hostage. As much as we want to get home, our hearts are really very sober here and thinking about what we're leaving behind and what the people that live here are going through.
And that message is being shared in Providence, too. The Jewish Alliance of Greater Rhode Island is holding a vigil tonight, standing in solidarity with the people of Israel.
That's really what tonight is about, coming together with our Jewish community members, with the larger community who stands with us, who stands with Israel, but really who wants to come together and just begin the healing process.
And again, that vigil is happening right now with prayers, speakers, and just people all coming together. Governor Dan McKee told the crowd inside that the State House will be lit up in blue and white tonight in solidarity with Israel. Reporting live in Providence, I'm Sheena Loshudo, 12 News.
Sheena, thank you. And President Biden and many other political leaders are vowing complete support for Israel.
12 News reporter Lauren Brill continues our in-depth coverage with Reaction. Lauren?
Well, Shannon, Kim, there are political ramifications here. The U.S. is a close ally of Israel. Politicians locally and across the country calling these acts of terrorism horrific. The former Speaker of the House saying today they're working to help Israel and save the American hostages. Lawmakers are expressing their solidarity with Israel. Across the country, groups are organizing vigils and peaceful rallies. Over in Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey speaking at an event with signs around her that say, "Stand with Israel."
We stand with you. Our hearts ache with you. And our constant prayers are with you and your loved ones here and abroad all over this globe.
But these attacks are raising concerns. 12 News law enforcement analyst and the governor's former Homeland Security advisor calling this a potential national security risk.
Pay attention to what's happened to Israel. Sworn enemies that want the destruction of Israel. We can't forget they want the destruction of this country also.
Congressman Seth Magaziner serves on the House Homeland Security Committee.
And I am committed to work with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep Americans safe here at home.
But Magaziner and the former Speaker of the House saying the most immediate concern is helping those American hostages over in Israel.
This administration must also make clear that harming any American will result in the wrath of the United States,
which O'Donnell says is the blueprint of terrorists.
They took women and elderly. They know what our country or even Israel's country responds. We have to defend our citizens no matter where they are in the world.
Congressman Magaziner tells me if anyone here in our area has a family member over in Israel, contact his office for help. Live in studio, Lauren Brill, 12 News.